This is the Ottawa Senators Outlook. Here is your host, Jack Henry.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Ottawa Senators Outlook. I'm your host, Jack. This is my reaction to everything that's happened in the last 48 hours, so let's get right to it. So, obviously, free agency started yesterday, and the Senators did a couple of things. First off, they began their day with the Chychrun trade. Obviously, Chychrun got traded to the Washington Capitals in exchange for defenseman Nick Jensen and a 2026 third-round pick. So, obviously, a bit of an underwhelming return, especially with the reports that the Senators had first and second round pick offers being offered to them, and they went around seeing if they could get more. I mean, obviously, the team is trying to do their due diligence, but looking in hindsight, I wouldn't say I prefer the first or the second round pick, but at the same time, I mean, this return feels a little bit underwhelming, even though I think Nick Jensen is a good defenseman. I mean, I've been potentially targeting him as a possible option for the Senators before they got Chychrun last season, because I do think Nick Jensen's defensive numbers are really solid. Obviously, he had a down year defensively, but so did that entire team. He's going to be 34 by the time the season starts. He has 2 years left at slightly over $4 million, so the Sens are getting slight relief from that, and then 2026 third. I do wish the pick was a little bit higher. Then I think the return would have been a little bit more respectable, but I don't know if the Senators, based off of value between the players, I do think Washington got the better end of this deal, but I do think Nick Jensen addresses a need better than Chychrun does. So basically, in a way, the top four, Sanderson, Zub, and Shabbat, and Nick Jensen, I do think this could work out. We saw what Jake Sanderson and Artem Zub did last season, and then Thomas Shabbat will obviously be here, obviously as the offensive defenseman. He needed a good deep partner. Hasn't had a good one since Phil DeMello. Hopefully Nick Jensen could be able to do that. So that's what we have right now for our decor and the Chychrun trade with the Washington Capitals. So let's get right to the signings that happened yesterday. So the first one, and I want to talk about this one, this is really interesting. The Senators signed former Red Wing David Perron to a 2-year contract with an AAV of $4 million. $4 million for David Perron is a bit risky because he's 36 years old, but he is going to have to be a middle six winger. One thing I did realize, he's actually right shot, but he does play his offside more, so he's going to be a left winger, and that's going to be really interesting. Obviously, a lot of Sens fans don't like David Perron because of what happened last December with, Matthew Joseph, Artem Zub, and the Dylan Larkin incident. I'm not going to talk about that, but if you want to go Google it, if you want to, go ahead. Perron got a 6-game suspension for that cross-check, and now he's an Ottawa Senator. So that's a little interesting for the Ottawa Senators, but I do think as a middle six forward, I do think he can put up good numbers still. $4 million, I mean, that might be a tad high, but again, free agents with Ottawa. Ottawa's not the most ideal place for a free agent to sign, so obviously you're going to have to pay up a little bit more. So I do think David Perron will definitely be that veteran presence for the Ottawa Senators, and he will be able to hopefully put that middle six scoring in for the Senators. So I like it a lot. The second signing is Michael Amadio, I think is how you say it, but a Senator legend. He played for the Vegas Golden Knights the last 3 seasons, and he actually had respectable numbers. He had 27 points in the last 2 seasons each, so 54 points in those 2 seasons. But he's actually been a decent depth forward for the Vegas Golden Knights. So if he's going to be on the third line and he can play all 3 positions, left wing, right wing, and center, so that's a really good utility piece for the Ottawa Senators. He's coming in a 3-year deal at $2.6 million. That might be a little bit high, but like I said, with free agents with Ottawa, you're going to have to pay up a little bit more. So I think Michael Amadio will be a good option for the Ottawa Senators for their forward core. Obviously, he's more of a bottom 6 guy. Most likely he could be on the third line, but regardless, I like it a lot for the Senators. So Amadio, 2.6 mil for 3 years, and then Noah Gregor as a depth piece, 1 year, $850K, and he replaces Parker Kelly, who I'll get to in a second. So he played for the San Jose Sharks. He didn't get qualified, so he's an unrestricted free agent. He came on with a PTO with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they signed him to like a league minimum contract. They didn't qualify him, so he becomes an unrestricted free agent, and then he goes on the other side of Ontario to sign with the Senators on a one-year deal. So obviously he replaces Parker Kelly and Erik Brannstrom both didn't get qualifying offers from the Senators. Parker Kelly a little bit less surprising, obviously. He worked hard for the Senators. Obviously, he had a really good year when DJ Smith got fired, but it just wasn't enough. I mean, the skill was there, but it didn't work out for Parker Kelly, unfortunately. So, and not for nothing, but the arbitration rights potentially, I wouldn't have given him more than what he signed for, which I believe was $825K with the Colorado Avalanche for 2 years. And then the other one is Erik Brannstrom, and his qualifying offer was $2.2 million. Nobody was paying that, so I don't blame the Senators for not wanting to do that, but I wish they were able to get something for him. Nobody wanted Erik Brannstrom through trade, so therefore we couldn't get anything for him. And obviously he came off of a year where he signed a $2 million contract, and a year ago today I talked about this right here, and I gave my thoughts on this contract, so take a listen to that. Erik Brannstrom got a one-year extension yesterday at $2 million. I'm sorry, I don't like this contract. I think it's way too much of an overpay for a bottom-pair defenseman, and he's just not going to see a top-4 role in a while unless injuries happen. But I mean, as a fully healthy top-4, he's not going to be in there. Our top-4, obviously, Shabbat, Zub, Sanderson, and Chychrun. There's just no spot for him, and especially with a 1 year, do they see him as a trade piece? I wouldn't be against it. We could get actually some decent value for him, so I wouldn't mind it. So an undersized defenseman, he's 5'10", he's under 6 feet, and based off the Senators draft, they want tall guys, like at least above 6 feet. They want physical defensemen, which I can understand because Erik Brannstrom, as good as his skill was, his numbers were phenomenal. His defensive presence was there, but he was super undersized, and one thing that we learned, teams around the league don't value that. So obviously Steve Sales doesn't either, but unfortunately we were not able to get anything for him, and he did sign a 1 year $900K deal also with the Colorado Avalanche. So that's some more depth for the Avalanche, and those two are really good players for the Avalanche. So good luck to Parker Kelly and Erik Brannstrom. But let's also talk about what happened today, because that's something really big as well. Matthew Joseph got traded to the St. Louis Blues along with a 2025 third-round pick for future considerations. I mean, this is a cap dump, but I kind of don't understand why, unless teams knew the Senators needed to sign Shane Pinto and they needed to get rid of Joseph. So at least it's a third-round pick this time. At first, beginning of this past season, when we were trying to sign Pinto before the 41-game suspension, we would have to maybe attach a first-round pick just to get rid of him. So that alone was ridiculous. But again, the Senators backed themselves into a corner, and they couldn't really move out any money. But Matthew Joseph here going to St. Louis, I mean, he's really good. The only issue with the Senators with him, and I definitely believe it, was that he was just super, super inconsistent. I mean, it would really tick you off a little bit because the speed was there, the defensive presence was there, but he could just never score. So it just got frustrating and frustrating. The first half of the year was really good. Second half, he was almost invisible. So again, along with a third-round pick, that's not ideal, like I said, but whatever it takes to move out some kind of money, you do it. And his brother, P.O. Joseph, also signed with the Blues, so the Joseph brothers reunite in St. Louis, so that's pretty cool. But the big news that a lot of people are talking about is Shane Pinto finally signed an extension with the Ottawa Senators. There were way too many rumors about a trade, him asking for one and whatnot, but he signed a 2-year deal with an AAV of $3.75 million. I feel like that's a little bit too much for a 2-year bridge deal, but whatever it takes to sign him with the agent he has. Yep, his agent is Louis Gross, the same one with the Johnny Gaudreau incident with Calgary, and most notably known for the huge debacle with William Nylander and the Maple Leafs. He is one of the toughest agents to deal with. he wants his way, and if not, he's going to have his client sit out for the year, which doesn't help out the player either, but again, that's how agents work. So we were able to get him under extension, and listen, when his 2-year contract expires and he puts up really good numbers, then you can sign him to a bigger deal. And who knows if Josh Norris will be with the Senators by then. If he's still there, he'll definitely be shipped out. If not, he will already, because I just feel like Shane Pinto is a good second-line center. I think he took the second-line center role from Josh Norris, honestly. So we'll see what happens with that. But again, Pinto, $3.75 million on a 2-year deal. I think it's a really good contract for the Senators. Obviously, they were asking for a 5x5, so that's what makes the price seem a little bit large for a 2-year deal. But again, they extended him. They moved out Matthew Joseph, and then all the signings and trades that happened yesterday. So that's all that happened for now. I'm expecting a couple more moves to happen. We have roughly $3.6 million in cap space with a couple more roster spots to fill, which are more like depth signings. So we'll see what happens with that. I think we're still in for a very interesting couple of weeks for the Ottawa Senators, and let's see what they do. So overall, I don't think their offseason was horrible, or these past 2 days were awful, but it wasn't the best, to be honest with you. So again, we'll see what happens. But again, I'm looking forward to the year. Hopefully, the Senators prove me wrong, because right now I'm not feeling the most confident about them. But like I said, with the moves that we made, hopefully they pay off for us, and we're able to, I don't want to say make the playoffs, but be a lot more competitive than we were last year. So fingers crossed on that. Comment down below your thoughts on this. Any news or rumors that come out, I will make a video on that. So again, just look out for all that. But for now, this is Jack from the Ottawa Senators Outlook, and go Sens go.
Thank you for watching this presentation of the Ottawa Senators Outlook. For more of this podcast, click on the videos on the left, and subscribe by clicking on the icon on the right. Thank you.